And sorry about the delay, everyone, but we are back. It is going to be Bristol Built Different versus UoB Kronos for the second game of the night. So, slight delay, but we'll head straight over to looking at Bristol Built Different, have a look at this squad. And there's some interesting things to note about this team. We found out a little bit of information about them. So, obviously, two Sigma players, perhaps looking to break the meta and run with two Sigmas at the same time. But we also have the Hanzo Tracer, the Brigitte, and the Anna. So, Josh, looking at this information that we have about these players, do you want to just give a brief rundown of what we expect to see from them?
So, they do certainly live up to their name. It'd be interesting to see if they can pull off this double Sigma comp. All jokes aside, they are actually a fan of that double off tank. So expect Hog, expect Sigma, expect Zarya. These guys are, to be honest, they're stacked. I believe they have a ex-contenders off tank in Nedia. They have an ex-contenders trials flex support in Yarvin, and they have an ex-contenders coach in Quite on the support. So lots of experience and just lots of high mechanical skill as well. These guys are pretty stacked.
And it isn't just Bristol that are stacked, as we do take a look at UoB Kronos as well. This team is also very stacked. Some of you who have been around and have seen some of these players play before will be familiar with some of them. So we've got the Reinhardt Diva, Sufi and Faz. We've got Dongleton and Feels Goodman on Tracer and Barra. And then Noza and Divinity on Mercy and Zen. So to walk us through these players, Josh, we've got some interesting stats from these players as well.
Yeah, so it looks here from Divinity, Feels Goodman and Sufei, it's actually their first year in NUEL. However, the other three, Dongleton, Noza and Faz, seem to be very experienced. Mentioning here for the Kronos team that part of them were originally another roster called Zeus that actually managed to win NUEL twice. For the bit of information, Divinity also a coach for a Chinese contenders team, Team Restart. So two coaches today, which is really nice to see. It's always nice to offer that little bit of perspective. Two contenders coaches going head to head. So the battle of the shot calling, particularly the up planning, how both teams execute the compositions that they want to play, something that I'm really going to be interested in and looking for these matches, because they have two very knowledgeable players on either team in the support role.
So we will see whether there's going to be a battle of wits as opposed to the mechanical skill, and it is going to be Bristol Built Different with the first map pick. They're going to start on Busan. So what sort of things are you looking to see from these teams? We've a little bit of information that we've had. Kronos not a fan of the death ball style, which we've been seeing quite a lot today, but they are a fan of the dive. How do you feel like this is going to work into a Busan pick from Bristol?
I think dive tanks are very viable on Busan. The Winston, the Diva, the Wrecking Ball in particular, able to get a lot of value on downtown and on Sanctuary as well. Mecha base, quite often known for a brawl map, so yeah, Bristol really hoping that does not come up at all, and they can hopefully secure a 2-0 on those other two maps. And there could be a bit of trouble there, because obviously Mecha base is brawl favoured, as I was saying. Other two maps, as I said, dive favoured, so they should look to play around that. Particularly if they can manage to play off some Mercy Zen, get some Tracer in there as well. Overall, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. University, Kronos might pull something out of the bag here. I believe that they've got a chance in this game. SRs looked quite even, so hopefully this is going to be a great match, a great series, and both teams going to go head to head and hopefully leave it all out on the field.
Definitely. With Bristol taking this first pick, how do you feel like their preferred composition of the double off tank is going to stack up against what we're assuming is going to be dive coming out from UoB Kronos?
Yeah, so double off tank really wants to fight close, and it wants to sort of mess the game up, mess the flow, mess the tempo up a bit, and sort of drag you down, sort of similar to something like an avoided composition that wants to do those guys notorious and contenders for playing their own style and really just, you know, putting on the clown hats and getting out the mariachi band for the full fiesta. So double off tank kind of doing the same. We're going to see double off tanks likely split, so maybe in three, so they could be in trios of two each as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they operate this double off tank. I think it's always really interesting when teams say they're going to play this composition, because I think it can be run in so many different ways. Some teams play it like a spam comp, some teams play it like a broad comp. So that's going to be interesting to see. And as we said, both teams contenders coach, so be interesting to see what the perspective that brings to this double off-time composition.
Yes, definitely. So we should be looking at a very strong series coming in from these two teams. Hopefully a little bit of a closer game compared to the last series. As we do head over to map 1, as we said, we are going to be starting off on Busan, as we're just going to see the compositions pop up any second now. And it's going to be dive, as you said in the pre-show, Josh, we said about this Wrecking Ball and Diva dive compared to the Winston instead. And we're going to see Bristol pulling out Double Shield, Torbjorn, Symmetra.
Yeah, so the sim is obviously going to be just so they can TP out the spawn quickly. I do expect them to stay on these 5 heroes. We've seen it before. It's absolutely lethal. Brig Bap, both have been buffed recently, and Brig Baptiste is honestly one of the best support lines in the game. Both of these two offer so much AoE healing and just general sustain. So University of Bristol are going to be really, really tanky with this composition. So let's see how they play around this objective, and let's see if they can kind of out-rotate and out-sustain the damage that's inevitably going to come in from the burst of Sufi and from Field Scrub Manners. Neddy gets the pick onto Sufi already.
So it is going to be that rock to claim the first pick, and the turret does fall on for the side of Bristol built different, but they are going to have point control here. They've definitely got the better position, and they are going to take the point first. Fairly uncontested. That one pick was all it took, and it's going to be swapped over.
Yeah, it looks like Dundleton was going back to the spawn to try and maybe look for swappers. Yavin gets antied here. This Baptiste's going to be for solo.
And it is going to be Anarchy getting the first pick of this fight. It is just Bristol sitting back. They know that they have the compositional advantage here. They're in the better position with the Sigma and the Orisa. They have so much sustain as well with this Brig and Baptiste. You're going to struggle to get much work done. But it is just going to be Bristol built different are just going to poke from a distance by the looks of it.
Yeah, they're going to really play patient here, as Anarchy's just going to stay on this off angle and stay harassing us. The window comes down from Yavin, and not really much found there as, okay, Sufi goes down, so that's a lot of disruption gone as, okay, Field Scrub unfolds, and now
down
University of Birmingham, they do need to back out here. Let's see University of Birmingham reset.
It is going to be Dongleton to get the pick, as he does get the nano boost, but it is going to get rocked off the high ground and fall, and it is going to be Bristol built different, just holding this point at the minute.
Yeah, Yavin and Fuchs showcasing absolutely perfectly the point. They had a nanoed Reaper in their face. They only managed to lose one as they kited him and they out-sustained him. So, well, that's a nanoed Reaper at his most effective range, Joe, and he wasn't able to do basically anything.
Yeah, that Sigma Rock coming in very, very strong and just taking them out, as it is going to be Yavin getting that first pick over onto Noza again. And it's just Bristol getting these first picks every single time. And he's going to, unfortunately, pick himself off, and that is going to be Sufi falling. And this is just very, very... This is like clockwork coming in here for Bristol.
This is methodical, and this is exactly what I like to see from Double Shield. Double Shield works best when everyone understands their role. They understand how these cooldowns interact with each other, and it's just methodical, it's organized, it's strategic, it's absolutely everything you want to throw all the objectives in there. It's been absolutely beautiful so far to look at. As there we go. That's round 1.
They get picks in late with their ultimates, but it's not enough, as round 1 does go to Bristol built different. This double shield coming in way too strong. We saw it in the chat before the game started, if you are over in the chat. They said that they were going to play the double shield, and they've come out and they're playing it to a T.
Yeah, so on the flip side here, if we look at UoB Kronos, they needed that engage. That composition needs that Wrecking Ball to engage, to slam up, so your Farah can Conch Mine in, can aggressively engage with that speed boost that she got recently in that patch, and really help deal with that splash damage, combo that slam with those Farah rockets to do an insane amount of burst. But the ball was just never able to get anywhere near, as now UAB going to swap it off, going to go over to a broad composition with these dive tanks. So no Sombra, but the ability to just W key still very, very strong for Kronos here.
Definitely, but we are going to see the swap over onto a Doomfist here instead of the Farah, and we're going to see the swap back to the Winston as opposed to the Wrecking Ball. Both teams just poking out, but it is a very nice anti-nade coming in from Divinity, unfortunately not finding any picks, as it is going to be Noza falling first. Monstro cleans up the second pick, and this is going to be UoB Kronos again having to back out as they are falling fast. Fuchs getting a nice clean double kill on the Brigitte, but they are just going to go over and cap that point now. Bristol built different, claiming points to begin with.
Yeah, nice flip from University of Bristol, but I'm just waiting for University of Birmingham to engage, to be honest. Their composition, that's exactly what it wants to do. It's fast going to lose that ult charge, as he has to swap to avoid the stagger. And they just need to engage. The more this draws out, now they have point control for University of Bristol. Their composition fundamentally wants to play slow.
It is going to seem that way, as it is going to be them taking the low ground approach now, sticking it with more of a death ball walking forward. And it is going to be Nano Boost to keep that Winston alive. Down falls the Immortality Field, and the Pulse Bomb coming in, cleaning up Divinity, but Pig's going back and forth, and in comes Dongleton. Is not going to get any picks with that slam, but does fall, and it is Bristol built different, still holding this point, 40% so far.
Yeah, and they thought they had a chance in that fight, and they really, really did. They managed to get the window out and get through it, but the final call, the Swan Song, the Perish Song out there from Fuchs on that rally is so effective at keeping the sustain alive for this competition. As Nedia finds Divinity.
It is going to be Divinity falling very early on again. Monstro gets the pick, and that's going to be all of the players of UoB Kronos getting cleaned up. And it's just dominant from Bristol, built different. They are very much correct in their name. Dominant performance, 75% on the point, and we're looking at last fight territory here.
As we talked about, the idea of clockwork and the ability to just find these picks onto the supports consistently has been so deadly. The poke has been incredible as the flux comes in now from Nedia.
It is a huge flux, but it is going to be Dongleton being the first to fall. Rock comes out to keep that Reaper away from his effective range, and the beat does come in, maybe a little bit too late, but it is going to keep a couple of people alive. Monstro walking forward with Anarchy, and that is going to be it. Bristol built different. Take Busan.
So there's a lot to process there. It felt very slow. There was no sense of urgency there. It was very calm, very collected from University of Bristol as they really just grinded them down. And that's what a double shield composition wants to do. Not much off-handling needed when you can effectively find their supports basically off cooldown. There's just too many ultimates in the end there. But yeah, real lack of engage there from University of Birmingham. If they want to play that broad comp, they need to get onto them, but they were just never able to. And it's really frustrating to see, and I know those guys are going to be frustrated with that, and they know what they need to do. These guys are intelligent players. They have good players on that team. So for map 2, let's see them get over to a hybrid. Probably going to go to Kings Row again, but honestly, we need to see what happens when University of Birmingham get that advantage and they get on top of the tanks of Bristol built different, because so far, Joe, it has not happened.
It hasn't so far, but we'll see if that changes going into the next map. It's not something that we expected coming in for Bristol built different. They said that they preferred these the double off-tank compositions. We said about Sigma Hog or Sigma Zarya. Wasn't expecting them to pull out the double shield, but they played it to a T very, very effectively.
Very well.
As we are just waiting for UoB Kronos to make their map pick, and it is going to be Numbani.
Numbani.
So they did say that they prefer a dive style composition, and Numbani kind of is the perfect dive map.
Yeah, Numbani, perfect for dive, first 2 points particularly.
So what is it about Numbani which makes it so easy to play these dive style compositions on compared to a brawl or a double shield, for instance?
So the main advantage is essentially just the ability to hold and contest these high grounds. These high grounds are actually more important than the point itself on this map. That space above provides so much cover and obviously provides the best angle for your DPS. That's why you usually see something like a soldier, like an Ash, like a Widow, like a McCree on these high grounds. Just the ability to take control of these high grounds to give to your Ana, for example, if you're playing dive, or to give to your soldier if you're on counter dive, or to give to your Torbjorn if you're on a spam double shield defensive comp, for example. Yeah, these high grounds are so important, and as we get through into the map, as we get into the street phase, as we pass the Sigma boutique round the corner to that second point cap, again, high grounds absolutely everywhere, and just the ability to take those and to stage really far up is absolutely perfect for dive, because then it gives them the disengage potential as well, which is something that it's a pitfall of that composition. we see on dive often. You know, the old style of dive we saw 2016. We saw the likes of GC Busan, that sort of old Apex Season 4 dive, if everyone remembers it. Lucio, Zen, Tracer, Genji, Winston, Diva, that all in style. But now dive has evolved to something you want to be a little bit slower. You want to stage a bit higher. You want to walk up onto them more. Use that bubble after your armor drop. Sort of stay around for a bit, rent space from the enemy team, and look to collapse that way. So it's really interesting to see how dive has evolved, and sort of the way that this map has been played as sort of shown as a classic example of that.
So we are going to see whether they can play this dive style, especially they are going to run it on the defense to start with. But it does look like Bristol are just going to run out with their double shield composition. They're more than happy to play it across the variety of maps, and we'll see how that goes going into this first attack.
Yeah, so this Tracer is likely going to take bottom here and look for an angle collapse. Whereas both these tanks obviously going to be taking the top left here. It would be very, very perilous if they were to go under or try and force point, particularly now that they've started out that there is a pharmacy on the side of University of Birmingham. So here we go, look to try and take this top left, as they're going to be walking out with 2 shields. So that's going to be so much cover.
It is going to be the concussion mine to knock the Sigma down onto the point, but as Dongleton does get a pick, and they are going to return it on the Mercy, so 1 DPS for a support, but it is going to be Yavin falling here, so it is going to be up to 50% already for the side of Bristol built different, but they are going to fall 52% on the board so far. Not bad for your first push.
Yeah, not too bad. They'll be pleased with that, but one of the flaws, the major pitfall in this composition for University of Bristol is they don't rotate quickly, which is obviously never good against the spam comp, and they need positional advantage here. University of Bristol, this game is going to be completely different if they manage to cap this point. This streets phase, once they get that cart unlocked so they can set up for the next fight, it's going to be completely different. But for now, they need to take space off University of Birmingham, which with this composition is actually really hard to do.
Yeah, so we saw that Sigma get knocked down onto the low ground fairly early on, and that was kind of the deciding factor for them. But that Torbjorn now getting himself set up, and he's going to draw attention from the soldier. Nano Boost coming in now to hopefully try and clear up a few picks. Sigma using that Biotic Grasp to keep himself up the shield, and also that Baptiste Lamp. But a huge barrage comes in, finds 2 and the turret for himself, cleans up that Baptiste Lamp to get the whole thing started. And also the mines coming in, possibly an overcommit there, but they are going to clean up that fight. UoB Kronos here, the dominant team so far.
Yeah, strong defense here, and this is exactly what you want from your Pharah. You put so much faith, so much confidence in your projectile player on this Pharah to do just that and to hard carry these fights with the barrage, and that is why you run the pharmacy. You sacrifice so much by applying that Mercy pocket to the Pharah, which she so desperately needs, and it pays off in dividends for Theo Strudman. Beautiful barrage to take 2, and from there, like, that is fight done. But now on the flip side, University of Bristol, strong defensive position and ult on the board. Here we go, rally committed.
Attack Visor also committed on the other side for UoB Kronos here, so they are going to look to get some picks, but they are just going to back up and wait that one out. It is going to be the Wrecking Ball of Sufi is going to fall, but the Resurrection does come back in. So up to 78% now for the side of Bristol built different. Can they flip this point, as the Pharah is going to get caught off on the side of that map, and it is going to be just about taken for the side of Bristol built different. And as you said now, Josh, can they add that snowball?
Yeah, so let's see how this snowball goes, but we saw sort of a foreshadowing, we saw sort of a prelude there, as look how well they were managed to bunker down on the point once they got on there, as University of Birmingham could not displace him, as Anarchy's going to go forward, try and look for an extra pick, manages to find it onto the soldier of Dongleton, as again, this cart is going to be rolling forward. They've got that flux in hand, that's the only ultimate they have to work with, but this composition, not really needing ultimates that much. It's sort of just a cherry on the 3rd layer of icing on this cake. This composition already has the advantage now in this fight, even with the ultimates available. But Nano Barrage potentially could break this fight wide open for the University of Birmingham.
Yeah, clearly pushing themselves very far forward to start with and just setting up a little bunker, not giving any space for UoB Kronos to breathe. But they are going to start getting some picks now on the other side, as Noza does get the Resurrection over onto Divinity. Diva Bomb comes in, finds nobody, as Neddy is going to pop that Sigma shield to make sure that he can keep himself alive. Dongerton on the high ground is going to get a solo Flux. The Nano Boost does come in to keep them alive, but it is Feels Good Man on this Pharah, getting multiple picks to clean this one up, and it is going to be Bristol Built Different having to back all the way up as UoB Kronos finally open up that bunker.
Yeah, so a really nice play. Just a small micro interaction I want to point out between Feels Good Man Pharah and Nedia on Sigma. He's going to swap over to D.Va. As Nedia was in Flux, obviously he's unable to use the shield and the Biotic Grasp, so Feels Good Man goes straight into that barrage and he gets value of it, and that ends the fight. So a little bit of a mistake from Nedia on the Sigma there to commit Flux when he knew the barrage was up for Feels Good Man.
So it is going to be the mines dropped onto the point to try and isolate an area here, as Yavin is going to pop that window trying to find something, but Sufi's mines are going to get a pick eventually. They do find Monstro on that Torbjorn, but no one else falling. Both teams kind of just poking out at the minute, no one looking to engage overly heavily, as I do say that the Tac Visor does come in here and gets Yavin. That's a huge pick going over. That Baptiste is going to be the one to fall, but Anarchy is also finding picks, as well as the Sigma as well. Anarchy finds another one, that's Divinity to fall, and it's Sigma as well. Smithereen also finding another one. Anarchy cleaning up here, but it is going to be Bristol Built Different slowly rolling this one in to take point B.
Yeah, Yavin gets taken down there, but it's sort of fight over, as it was Curtains as Sufe now going to go over to the Orissas. They really needed that ball to be healthy on the engage then. It just did not happen. Just Sufe unable to engage when he's that low on HP, and he tried his best, obviously surrounded by 3 members of University of Bristol. It's just not happening. As now Torb Ultimate, okay. It's just going to be a quick reset for Nedia
to clean up that D.Va, so she's going to be a long time before she gets back to this fight. And the Torbjorn turret does fall, so it is just going to be Bristol looking to poke a little bit, looking to build some ultimates for themselves, without hopefully losing any more players here.
Yes, there's going to be a back off, hopefully, as Smithereen staying a bit too far, having cooldowns forced. Not ideally, oh, there we go. Good hook.
So it is going to be Feels Good Man with that barrage, cleaning up the Pharah. Only finds the one as the Resurrection does come over onto Sufi as well, and it is going to be Rally popped here for Futes. They are going to look to push this. Faz getting chased down by this rallying Brigitte. That extra health giving them the confidence to walk forward, and down goes the Hog of Faz. It is going to be Bristol Built Different just looking to walk this one forward. The Tac Visor is popped, but immediately Flux does keep him up, but Anarchy is going to be the one to fall. It is going to be Bristol Built Different having to back this one up a little bit, let themselves heal up a little bit before they can go back into this fight now.
Yeah, they've been kind of in this fight for like a minute and a half, Joe. I just want to see them back out, please. Just back out, reset. You can't fight this anymore. Defensive respawns come down and ultimate's available, and you know ultimate's available for the University of Birmingham. You've not seen it. There we go. Picked again onto Yavin.
Missile comes over. Yavin is going to be the one to fall. Anarchy does find the pulse bomb in the backline. Dongton is going to fall as well, so it is going to be Bristol trading up to picks for 1. Divinity is going to get resurrected, so bring that back to even, as the supercharger does come in now. Lots of damage coming through, as Feels Good Man is going to be the one to fall. The University of Birmingham bleeding players slowly, but they are slowly starting to sustain through this. Anarchy is going to fall, tries to get some pick over onto Futes as well, and that is going to be holding. Last ditch effort, only 3 meters left of this push, but 30 seconds left on the clock, and it is going to be UoB Kronos finally cleaning up this fight.
Final fight territory. A cap here is going to be absolutely huge for the University of Bristol. As far as on this angle, got this whole horde ready to go. Not the most effective. Potentially Flux Bomb combo available. There we go.
Bomb is going to be popped, but doesn't come in. Maybe a slight misclick there, as the Sigma is going to get hooked immediately, but in comes that huge Baptiste Lantern keeping everyone alive, but it is going to be Bristol cleaning up. That soldier getting so much value, and it is going to be Bristol Built Different in overtime, pushing for the 3rd point.
Yeah, they get it eventually. It took a little bit of effort. They had to dig their nails in there to get it in the end. University of Birmingham would not go quietly. But quick shout out to the supports, Futes and Yavin, providing so much sustain, so much healing, just to keep the University of Bristol up in fights that they really should not have been able to. I was calling for a back out, and they managed to flip it with 2 quick bits as well. So really nice play from both supports for the University of Bristol.
Very well played from both teams throughout that map. It did look like UoB Kronos were going to hold that to begin with, but as every single point got to the end. Bristol Built Different just found a way to push that through. Now we are going to see both teams sticking to their guns. UoB Kronos on the dive composition, Bristol Built Different on the double shield. We'll see which one pays off on this opposite defense here for Bristol on the defending side here.
So, as we talked about with the idea of positional advantage with that double shield, they're going to be favoured now with this composition, likely going to be splitting, probably leaving the Sigma and the Orisa on either high grounds. As we saw this happen on downtown. University of Birmingham have to make sure they take the right engage with the right ultimates. Nano Barrage is going to be a perfect way of breaking this fight open, but they have to be patient with it. However, there is a risk. There is two sides to every coin, and as they wait, time ticks down, and that is not going to be good, particularly for the Streets phases. Dive tends to be easily shut down. You know, one run foot, one run dive, you know, one run out of position, and it's all over. Big
and it is a huge knockback. Sufi is going to fall immediately, though, and Anarchy is going to find Dongleton as well. And that is probably going to be your push over if you're UoB Kronos here. One of your DPS and your main engage gone. How would you approach that different? Because that was such a nice knockback there coming in from Sufi.
It was a really nice knockback from Sufi, and that's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to displace from that high ground, but that Bridgestone just comes in and absolutely locks him down for the foreseeable millennia, because Bridgestone is just balanced. Is Sufi going to get really low? And again that top turret applying so much pressure.
Feels Good Man is going to find Anarchy, though, on the other side, so we'll see if that can result in anything for the side of UoB Kronos, trying to open up this defense a little bit, trying to just keep that Torbjorn turret out of commission, the extra damage coming in from that. But it's just going to be slowly trying to poke down for UoB Kronos here.
Yeah, so Feels Good Man is trying to do that, manages to not quite manage to knock the Orisa off the high ground. She's going to drop, but now finally Feels Good Man able to get into them, and there we go, Orisa taken down.
Damage coming in there, and it is going to be the majority of Bristol Built Different getting anti-naded in their own backlines. But it's going to be Anarchy here getting a couple of picks, make that 2 for him, cleaning up here. But it is going to be somehow, some way, despite the positional disadvantage and losing their main tank, it's going to be Bristol Built Different cleaning that one up.
Yeah, we've talked about it before, and I'll say it again, just the absolute sustain. They lose the Orisa, they lose that shield, and they lose that fortifying. They lose a lot of their point presence with that Orisa, but they still manage to clean it up. Just excellent sustain. You'll see, look how much armor that Torb has. It's going to decay now. Armor pack overload I applied, I believe. Sufi managed to find the turret. Okay, so this is the very winnable fight here. Okay,
down falls Dongleton, stuck that pulse bomb from Anarchy, and that is going to be a huge amount of their damage lacking again. But still, this Farah up in the sky, the amount of spam that she's putting through, nearly taking Anarchy out, is going to get that health back and have to dip out. But armor pack is going to heal that one up there.
Yeah, so we get into what probably is going to be the penultimate fight, but look at the absolute wealth of ultimates that the University of Birmingham have. If they're going to break it open, the timers now, obviously they've got to be very careful, aware of the ultimates that they have.
In comes a Nano Visor, so it is going to be the Baptiste falling very early. Nedia is going to get the pick over onto Divinity, but that Flux just catches the majority of the team. Sufi is going to fall. Dongleton very, very low, but it's going to look to trade out the Sigma before he goes. But note, the Grasp comes in, possibly not quite enough, as the Diva of Faz is going to come in at 2 peel for them. So it is going to be UoB Kronos, the remaining players left up in this room, as the Supercharger comes in. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Knows it is going to fall to that Pulse Bomb. The bomb used to remake, but Faz isn't going to be able to escape, is going to quite possibly fall. Not able to be staggered out here. 40 seconds left on the clock for UoB Kronos to try and open up this Bristol hold.
Yeah, look at how many ultimates that UoB committed, and they just weren't able to do it. University of Bristol putting the soft chips into that fight, only committing the Flux and the Bongo late and 1 Pulse Bomb. I believe they might have committed the rally as well, but they still have the window to go. They still have the Torbolt, and that Torbolt's going to be absolutely crucial in overtime. So let's see how Monstro can look to use that Torbolt ultimate.
Feels Good Man finds one immediately. Hits. Dongleton as well, taking out that Tracer with a headshot. But they are just going to try and sustain through this. It is going to be Feels Good Man to fall there. But the Soldier damage coming in now is going to fall slightly low, but his own Biotic Field is going to keep him up. The right click there, the Helix Rocket taking out the Orisa, and it is going to be quite possible. It is going to have to be there. UoB Kronos are going to flip this point the Torbjorn ultimate comes in, but it isn't quite enough. Dongleton and Faz cleaning up, as there is just going to be Bristol throwing bodies at the point, trying to find something. But no, that's going to be your point flipped over. Point A goes to UoB Kronos in overtime, despite
third time the charm there for Dongleton, able to get his third tag visor of the round, I believe, and secured that high ground as he'd done for the last 3 fights now. And the roll of the dice finally landed University of Birmingham's way. Is now payload is going to unlock into the Streets phase, and then you're going to swap over to that Diva as they go back to the Sigma Diva composition. Beautiful pitch onto Nova as well. That's going to end the push for University of Birmingham right here.
So it is going to be that Mercy to fall very early, but Bristol are just going to walk forward, try and claim as much of this space back as they can, try and set up their little bunker composition. As it's going to be Anarchy diving into the backline, diving on the Soldier again as he has all game, but Yavin is going to be the one to fall there. Dongleton on the Soldier, cleaning that one up. Pulse Bomb comes in, not able to find Divinity, but it doesn't matter. Nedia is there to clean that one up. And again, that Helix rocket from Dongleton, again, cleaning up Anarchy. That's not the first time that's happened. In comes the bomb now. Huge bomb possibly coming in from Faz. Finds the Sigma as also the Tac Visor and the Primal Rage committed. So UoB Kronos wanting to end this right here, right now, looking to take point B as fast as possible. Get out of this Streets phase.
Yeah, they might be able to snowball B here with an advanced stage. Only have Transcendence to go. Okay, correct. I'm wrong. They're going to have Barrage as well, but again, we talked about the wealth of ultimates as University of Bristol have a plethora to work with here. This window, particularly with this Torb and the ultimate as well, is going to be so deadly. But Fuchs, from last fight, really nice rally play in response to his Baptiste
Sufi jumps into the backline, is going to get stun locked and fall, so it is going to be UoB Kronos trying to push this point. 40 seconds left on the clock without their main tank. Is going to be Noza to fall there. Divinity does clean up that the Baptiste lamp, but it isn't going to be enough. Feels Good Man is going to fall. Dongleton as well. Down falls Divinity. 30 seconds left on the clock. This is winnable for Bristol Built Different.
Yeah, definitely the full hold here. And again, this Flux Torb ultimate, not the best combo in the world, but hey, they're going to be landing, taking half the HP into the deadly Molten Core that Torbjorn is going to be putting out. But last fight, no one told Yavin that he was a support player. He managed to find 3 exit pits there, getting those final blows, and that's one of the strengths of this backline. So much damage coming out from this Brig Bap.
So it is going to be final fight, possibly. It is going to be Feels Good Man. It is the first pick to fall. Sufi is going to fall as well. Transcendence comes in now, but it might be a little bit late. In comes the Lift now. Isn't going to find anyone but the Zen. The Zen is going to fall. The Rock as well. It is going to be so much damage coming out. I can barely keep track, but it is going to be Bristol Built Different cleaning up, and they take the map. Clean 2-0 win over UoB Kronos.
Yeah, don't let your eyes deceive you. I think that was actually closer than it looked. Really nice play from University of Bristol, though, and as if that fight needed to go any longer, Joe, they had that rally in the back pocket from Fuchs just to seal up the deal, as we're going to see Monstro Soldier here for a bit of the play of the game action. Really beautiful aim onto Sufei's Orisa there. Manages to out-track a Tac Visored Soldier. That's one for the books there, but commiserations to University of Birmingham, as I think University of Birmingham honestly played well, and if they play like that against most other teams in this bracket, they're going to do okay.
Oh, 100%. That was a very, very good shift put in from them. But that double shield was just far too strong from Bristol Built Different. We saw a lot more of their preferred composition. Their dive composition was very, very strong on Numbani, but unfortunately, they do fall 2-0. The scoreline not representative of the match, I'd definitely say.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think as well, particularly, I think potentially there that Bristol have got a bit of an ahead read on the next meta. I think we're going to see something along that composition. All those heroes, Orisa and Baptiste, are just crazy good together. They're so busted. That synergy they provide, and Brig Baptiste again as that backline, it's double shield and spam comps should lose to dive, but the ability of Brig to just ward off dive on her own and provide that AoE healing along with the Baptiste passive burst it's just so much, and sometimes you can out sustain it, particularly with the lamp as well, as it's so much for the dive to get through. Yeah, I do think they've given us a little bit of a prologue into what we're going to be seeing in future, maybe later in the NUEL bracket or even in tier 2, tier 1 when those eventually return.
So it is going to be 2 games today that have ended in a 2-0 Unfortunately, this one not representative of the game itself, but very, very
100%.
well played from everyone so far. We would like to thank you for joining us for the third week of the NUEL Campus Clash. We will be back again next week. Unfortunately, you don't get me and Josh next week, so you will have to wait, but you can head down to our Twitters just underneath us there. You can go over and give us a follow. And thank you very much to K Burberry and Jakey Boy Pro for the observing and production respectively, and we'll hopefully see you in a couple of weeks when we are back once again. Thank you very much for watching.
See ya.